Welcome to the Thursday episode of Women, Men, and Relationships with me, your host, JJ Flazanes, and Mr. Doug Sandler.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be back. I just put my drink down so that I could actually get real close to the microphone. I'm literally sitting 3 inches away from JJ Flazanes. How cool is that to be able to do that? That's pretty cool.
It's cool to be podcasters together. So today's topic, we have decided after the week
and a lot of pizza
and the week away, not a week away, week working in a different state, that we were going to talk about families and relationships, the role that families play in your relationships. So, Doug.
JJ, I have a lot to say about this topic.
I know. That's why I've decided to use this topic, because it's one we can talk about for a while based on our most recent experience with families. So before we get started on going through what's happened to us and our sort of experience with this.
Fine. 7 divorces, 27 relationships, and 1,300 broken family members' hearts. We are ready.
We are really ready. Although you totally exaggerated a lot, but that's okay, because that's what you do. You know, until this whole process started, I didn't really understand, because of course I've never gone through this process before, and the process that I'm talking about is, I'm going to call it uncoupling, because the first word that most people use, I don't like. It's very violent. It feels really wrong and like a failed thing versus a conscious choice. And I, for one, had to make a conscious choice. So I'm going to call it uncoupling. And what is really painful about it is all the aftermath of, not only are you moving away from a person, you're moving away from an entire family.
I'm going to call it divorce, because that's sometimes what it feels like. I'm telling you, I wish sometimes it felt like a conscious uncoupling, but this last breakup for me, oh, that was ugly. It was really ugly. I'm glad to say that I'm probably on the other side of that emotional ugliness, but it still was ugly. So I would like to call it a conscious uncoupling. However, I don't feel it was consciously uncoupled.
No, it wasn't for you. It wasn't conscious.
Oh, so was this one a divorce then?
I think for you it is. I don't think for me it is.
Oh, I have another name for it. Fucking heartbreak is what the name for it was.
Yes, fucking heartbreak.
Okay, but the first one, that was definitely a deliberate. That was more of a conscious uncoupling. That was a we're going to sit down on the sofa and we're going to have a conversation about what we're going to do here. And that actually there was a plan, there was an outline, there was a because we have 2 kids that were involved in my first marriage. We had a plan so that we could roll it out to our kids and make it make sense to them. So we created the least amount of collateral damage, I guess you would call it. And we really didn't think, or maybe, and this is probably a good way to get into our topic, we maybe just didn't realize all of the other parts of this, the families that were involved, my in-laws who I really enjoyed their company, my sister-in-law who I liked, my cousins on her side. I mean, every family event, everything. So that was a big challenge. Friends, all of the friends. I mean, just the friends alone, I can remember. And it wasn't like, even though we had what I would consider I guess a cooperative agreement to part, there was still a lot of people felt the need to make choices. I only recall a couple of people that actually stayed in contact with both of us. And even from my side, my perspective, I had a challenge staying friends with some of the people that I met through my first wife. So not only is it family, it's friends. It's not just your spouse that you are consciously uncoupling or divorcing if it's not quite as amicable as a conscious uncoupling. So for me, that was those were the challenges that I was dealing with. It was, wow, there's all of these people, and it made it really difficult. It makes it really difficult when you go through a divorce. You know, the more of the, I don't want to say the violent separation, but when one spouse leaves another, there is definitely a certain amount of post-traumatic stress that goes into there as well.
Well, while I'm going to call it a conscious uncoupling, it's still painful, obviously, because Well, unless two people absolutely 100% agree that there was nothing else that could be done and both equally want to leave the relationship, then there's always going to be a slight imbalance where one person thought it was fixable and the other person didn't.
Didn't you even talk about a friend of yours that they decided to go on like a cruise together or something? It was like that was like the ultimate in conscious uncouplings.
Absolutely. Yeah, they had decided, the wife had decided she didn't want to be married to him anymore because part of why she got married in the first place was, well, not, I should say in the first place. Part of the reason why she married him, he had some challenges health-wise. She believed he could heal himself. So I think she assumed, kind of like a lot of us do, a lot of women who maybe go into a relationship thinking that I'll change him or he'll grow into a new person, the person that he's presenting to me, the future self that he's presenting to me now, and I'll stay attached to the future self versus the present self. Where I think for a lot of men, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of men are, this is who I am. This is who I am. Take me for who I am right now, and I never need to change or grow into anything different. I am who I am right now.
Okay, but the only thing I might say about that or add to that is if you get either shit on enough times or learn enough valuable lessons enough times, you're willing to change. I think in this last go round with me, it was like, and I think you've probably seen a pretty big difference even in just the last few weeks. Is that I just kind of put the drew a line in the sand and said, okay, this old way was not working for me. I got to take it. I have to take a new approach to this, and we always use this move to California from the East Coast as kind of like a symbolic thing, how far away it is, but bold move, bold gestures, bold changes. Sometimes that's the best way to do it because there is no doubt that I need to make a conscious effort to stay connected to those back east, to those decisions, to those things that I want to be able to participate in. Sometimes there's going to be choices that are going to be tough to make as well, and we can talk about that maybe on a future episode. But yeah, the whole relationship thing, it's very interesting to it, the new relationships that develop from the divorce or the conscious coupling. Uh, it's very interesting.
Uncoupling. Conscious uncoupling. So let's go back over the topic today, because one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up families, and I'm glad we included friends. This process that's now officially started for me is hard, and was hard before it started, because, like I said, I've never been through this before. So I really didn't know what I didn't know. And what I didn't know is the amount of times you can feel rejected by the families or the friends that were attached to your relationship. And I found myself very, having heartbreak over and over again, and feeling vulnerable and wondering where I stood with just anybody, and if anybody was going to reach out, if I would stay in certain relationships with people. And even when I knew I found myself, in a ball of tears, just from the relief or from the fear of, I don't know that I'm going to stay connected to you, and I don't know how this goes. I don't know. People change when they take sides. People change when they feel that, some people only were friends with you or liked you or put up with you because you were someone else's spouse. And now that they don't have to choose you anymore, it gets real. Like, the shit gets real when who isn't going to choose you or stay with you because they didn't like you in the first place.
One of the things I really admired about how you handled a lot of the relationships, because it is difficult to go through that explanation process over and over and over again. And, the people that are either closest to you or even the ones that aren't quite close to you, but just want to be a little bit nosy. So they'll make that phone call to you, or they potentially will reach out to you. It's like, well, what happened? And how did it happen? And how did it go? Or what are you going to do now? And you feel like you get caught in that spiral of negative energy all the time because you're telling the story over and you're refining the story over and over and over again until you just get to a point where you're probably just like, I don't want to talk to anybody else. And that's where that little hole of depression or despair comes into play. But I really admire you for what you did. You put together a video. You put together a couple of videos, actually. I think there was one in there where why don't you explain what you did? Because I think that was kind of cool how you did it.
Well, those of you that have read or gone to my website and have listened to the Sacred Contracts episode, which I think I played here as well, there's a video of me sort of in a confession. And I did that back a while ago when Doug, you were here and you were visiting, and we had already been together, and I wanted to come from the heart and say something. And it's funny because when one of my production people, Rachel, we had gone through a bunch of different videos for the workshop coming up here in September, and some videos for the 30-day manifestation challenge. And I was filming with Layla Ali that day, and we were doing cooking videos, which are coming out soon. And then I was filming with another client of mine that I'm helping produce some of her offers, Lori Hart, and we had some time. And she said, "Why don't you, just put something on camera about your relationship?" And I was very happy, and we were in the bubble stage, which we're still in, but we were more elated and excited and really focused on the happiness and the connection that we had.
Now we're just kind of talking about what are we going to get at the grocery store? No, I'm just kidding. It's still I still feel like totally in the happiness bubble. I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not just the new relationship bubble, that honeymoon phase, but I really do feel like I'm in that. I don't know if that happiness bubble. I mean, I can tell you from my last relationship, 7 years, I still felt like even right till the very end, I was in that happiness bubble because I really felt like I felt totally connected. Now, obviously, that wasn't the case for her. In my first relationship, though, I don't really ever, maybe early on in the relationship, but I don't think that this happiness bubble goes away, at least what I'm experiencing right now. I think the honeymoon phase, that bubble, that just everything is great and you're like together and the whole world can be shut out. I mean, I think we've let the world in to a large degree. It hasn't gone away, hasn't faded. I'm hoping that it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I don't think it has. But it was the glowing phase.
Yeah.
It was
totally.
like the total glowing phase. And so I put some stuff on film and spoke from the heart and explained the very vulnerable position of, for those of you that have listened to my show or read my books or know about all the work that I've been doing to improve my marriage, to have a connection, to help other people. And then here I am, and what's happened, I used that video to kind of warm the stage, right? I sent it to family and friends. I sent it to close people that I knew. I wanted them to hear it from me. I wasn't going to be able to call everyone that I know and have a conversation with them about my change in relationship. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to rehash the story over and over again. So I made the video, sent people the link, and had them watch it, and knew that I would eventually share it more publicly because, again, I wanted people to see my face. I wanted you to hear it from me in a way that was meaningful, to let people know that this isn't, while I am loving where we are, I, just like you, didn't want to be here. I'm glad we're here, but I didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want to be consciously uncoupling. I didn't want to give up on a relationship that I had committed to. So back to, yes, I did that video, and then you and I were in a video, and then I had someone else film you in profession. So there's a whole bunch of fun stuff on the blog post called Sacred Contracts on jjflizanes.com. So if you haven't seen any of the videos, and there's this one of these shows, and then that whole Sacred Contract show. So, I really also appreciated that I could share that with some of the family members on the other side, as well as certain friends. I didn't really want it to get back to him right away, not because I was embarrassed by it by any means, but I just wanted it to, I'm not publicly, I'm still not out, I still have yet to post a picture of you and I on Instagram that's just you and I. I'm warming up to it. People who listen in the communities that listen to my shows, no. People who are on Facebook in certain groups, no. But I haven't, and I will not be uploading those videos to my regular public page. If people want to know, they can ask me and I'll direct them where to find it. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about and share and get people's feedback on, or to, join the conversation, come to Facebook and or Instagram, or however you connect with me or with Doug, and maybe we can start a Facebook group for this show if needed, to talk about relationship stuff. You guys have to let us know, because right now I've got my page. I've got my manifestation challenge. And if you come to one of the events, they each have their own pages. I don't need to start another page unless you really want to start having a conversation. But what I have found really interesting about this transition is how much I care, how much I am affected by the change in relationship on the other side, and how I am handling, how I am navigating new relationships on your side.
Well, I can tell you from a relationship perspective, from those that were on, and this is in my most recent breakup with my wife of nearly 3 years, and the relationship was nearly 7 years or 6 years, 6+ years in length. My biggest challenge was I really felt like I was a part in the first one, first marriage too, but especially in this one, it made it more challenging because of the way that we broke up. Uh, the breakup, it's almost like everybody went away. It was like everybody. What happened to everybody? The relationships that I had built with her family and friends, I felt like, oh my gosh, I really wanted to support her in ways that I don't know. She was having some challenges with me, and I was trying to support her in. She lost her dad early on in the at the end of last year, and the challenge for me was I didn't know how to support her any better, any differently, any other way. I don't know what. I maybe I was overbearing. I don't know. But I think what happened was when we split up, I lost the relationship of everybody in her family. Whether it was her brother or her mom, and it made it really challenging for me. Her friends, not that I was as close to her friends, obviously, as she was, but then it was like the to a degree the shame of the breakup with those that were our common friends, our industry friends, the people that we knew. We were both in the same industry, and it made it hard. I didn't know. I still haven't spoken to most of them, and I don't know what they know. I don't know what they don't know. I don't even, nobody's reached out to me, so I'm assuming that, or maybe one or two have reached out to me. The whole thing has just been really, from that perspective, a really big challenge. We forget when we break up with someone, or we don't think about it when we're breaking up because we're in so much pain of the relationship itself. We forget or don't know or don't think about those that are around us that get affected by this as well, the family, the friends, all of that. And as the person that's leaving this relationship, um, I that was part of the devastation, part of the heartbreak for me was that loss of that group of people. And I don't, does that ever come back? Does it ever come back?
I don't know. I haven't done this exactly. I know that for me with relationships of past, I I'm trying to remember. I still have relationships with family members of past boyfriends for sure. And not all of them, but a lot of them. And the boyfriends I still have relationships. And I know I'm gonna have one. I know I'm gonna have a relationship with my husband in the future too, because he said that to me when this was all happening. I need your friendship. And I can't even fathom having a 12-year relationship with someone, and it's a long time, and then not having them in your life. And he said that he was happy that I had someone who loved me and that I have moved on, and he wants me to be free, and he wants to be free, and it's all cordial, and there's a lot of heart still in there. And that's hard to a certain degree, but take it past, like, there's the challenge of the transition, but then there's the challenge too of what you and I are going through with each other and our families, especially with yours and currently what's going on.
Oh, you mean so in the new relationship? So you have this new relationship after having, in your case, a 12-year relationship. In my case, almost a 3-year marriage, and then several years of relationship prior to that. The issue is that nobody really knows how to handle in certain cases. Like, I don't know, what I think your parents want you to be happy, but I think they're very tentative. They probably are very tentative about me. I know that my mom was probably ultra tentative about you because you represented a move of 3,000 miles across the country. It wasn't like you were my next door neighbor. And then, of course, the whole position of, well, was there anything going on before your relationship ended abruptly? What was happening, and then you started this relationship pretty quickly, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? It's like, is everything put under a microscope, and you get judged? You don't realize how much you get judged until you start to hear like the speak, even from second and third, sources. So that's been a challenge too, just the new relationship and introducing you to new family members.
Well, I thought at first, because I met your family first, everybody was cool, right? I remember thinking, oh my God, my parents have to hurry up and get on board. But I knew for them, I mean, separation of marriages in my family doesn't really exist. It's very few and very, very few. So they don't, I mean, it's devastating for them.
Until they realized that, oh shit, this chick's sticking around. I really think that's what it was. It was like, oh, that's great. Doug's got a fun new toy. That's cool. Doug's got somebody that's a new girlfriend, and that's great. Maybe she'll help him through this small, challenging time. And then when they realized, he's moving in, he's
moving away, and he's leaving us to go there.
Wasn't it quick? Wasn't it amazing how quickly their opinions changed of you?
Yeah. And it was hard because I thought, oh, cool. Like I had this like relief of, oh, I came after the last one and maybe they didn't all love her so much. So like I'm sitting pretty because I'm going to come in and, they're going to love me.
And just to clarify, not because they didn't like my second wife, but it's the fact that she represented this was the transition from a 20-year marriage that everyone, they went to the wedding in 1990 and they were there and they loved her, and she's still a part of the family. And that's great. I still think that she should be a part of the family. I think that she's probably as much a part of the family as many family members, so she represented something completely different. This was like the new thing, and not that she had anything to do with the breakup of my first marriage. That was completely on my first wife and I, the breakup. But she was a different person. She was younger. She was more independent. She was she was a different person, obviously, and a different personality. And then when that marriage didn't work and you came into the picture as quickly as you came into the picture, everybody was like, okay, well, maybe she's good for him. And then, oh shit, she's going to make him move across the country. Oh, she's going to manipulate him and all that. And they didn't get it.
Well, a lot of them still don't.
Right.
Which is what is fascinating about like how quickly relationships change and how I'm having some serious trust issues. Like I felt secure.
Me too.
Yeah, right. I had, because of how certain people I thought were on board and supportive changed so quickly when it meant I represented you not being around anymore. And I know that it's not necessarily personal. Maybe some of it is. It can't really be that much. Nobody knows me well enough to make it that personal yet. It's really about their relationship to you and missing you.
But shouldn't it really be about, though, and if we really get down to it, shouldn't it be about if you make me happy or if I make me happy by being a part of you in your life? I mean, isn't it really just about you and me? How is it about them? How is my relationship anybody's business other than my relationship with you?
Well, technically it's not, but the mask is that they're making it about your relationship with me when it's really about their relationship with you. Instead of saying, I'm going to miss you. I'm really sad that you've left. I feel rejected that you left. I feel abandoned that you left. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, and I'm afraid. Instead of saying that and owning that, it becomes, what are you doing? You're crazy. Why are you wasting your life with this person? You're nuts, and you're going to regret this.
I've gotten that several times, by the way.
Almost verbatim. No kidding. Right. But the truth of it is, it's about their relationship with you, but they want to make it about your relationship with me to judge it so that they get back what they want, which is you.
But ultimately, isn't it about our happiness? Isn't that really what it's about? I mean, they're upset at me because of the decisions that I have made for me?
Yes.
Okay. Or are they upset for them because of the decisions I made for me and they think that they're a part of those decisions?
I think they want to be considered. I mean, if you looked at someone and you got them to be honest about the truth of how this affects somebody and they said, I miss you. I love you. I don't know what I'm going to do without you. You provided stability for me. I felt like I could rely on you. And now I'm afraid because I'm going to miss you. And I don't want to experience those feelings. If you then turned around and said, okay, I hear you and I'm sorry about that. And I love you too. And I'll miss you too. So let me get this straight. Would you like me to move back here so that you don't feel pain, even though this isn't where I want to be? So let me just be clear. You want me to do something. You want me to make my life choices based on what's best for you, not
Well,
what's best for me.
and I don't understand that. So either they're going to be happy about me, or I'm going to be happy about me. And let me just say this: in my old life, I would have probably 9 times out of 10 done that what would make them happy, and that could be possibly why I am where I am today. I don't mean where I am with you today, but the stress, the tension, the anxiety, the back pain, the any of the ailments that have happened, the stress, all of the things that have gone on in my life from an emotional perspective. Could there possibly be a tie-in between those issues and my relationship with them issues?
Of course, because you've hit a king stage in your life. There's been a lot of upheaval and decisions that need to be made. Perfect timing in a lot of ways for a lot of things, even though for a lot of people, they think it's really bad timing. They think that it would have been gone over better in better situations. And maybe it would have for a certain time frame, but I think the end result would have been the same. It might have taken, it would have been a snowball with less momentum, and it would have taken a little bit longer to get to where it's gotten.
I think personally that it required a Herculean situation to put me in the position that I'm in, because had it been smaller issues, had it been that you lived 20 miles instead of 3,000 miles, had it been that all of my, and I'm dealing with a very sick family member, so had that family member not been sick, maybe some decisions would be made differently. Had my mom, who is a little bit more aging, been younger and a little bit more capable than she thinks that she is, would that have played into the? I mean, so there's so many things that fell into the right place at the right time, that I don't think, had the circumstances been smaller, that I would have been able to draw that line in the sand and say, okay, now is my chance. Now is my time. Now is my opportunity to leave a larger mark by showing a little bit more about who I am by the decisions that I'm making today. And it, I think, had the circumstances been any lesser, I don't think it would have made anywhere near the impact.
Yeah, I was very impressed with your conversation that you had with your friend about when he said, the timing was bad. And you heard him and you said, okay. You said, well, but what if the timing was perfect? What if it's exactly how it was supposed to be for me to get to this place? And I thought that was a huge amount of growth, because I was sitting there like wanting to scream, yes, 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 because that's something that would come out of my mouth. But I don't think 6 months ago that would have come out of your mouth.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that the problem is that I have been, at 53 years old, I have been the product of my environment, of being a extreme people pleaser, and someone that was so caught up in helping other people by making decisions that I thought were right for them. I left myself at the curb so many times. And again, I think that contributed to a lot of the anxiety, stress, tension, just workaholic man, throw myself into my work because that's gonna please other people. The harder I work, the more happy other people are going to be. I wasn't real happy about it, but I think that especially in the last several months, uh, all of that seems to be making a transition to a whole different place. And I like this newer me a lot. It feels good. I'm sleeping a lot better than I was before. I feel like there is definitely a lot more, a lot less anxiety, a lot more relaxation, and not because I'm being lazy, but because I'm finally living the person that I think that I probably should have been living all along.
Well, you're fine. You've only had two relationships. I mean, let's be real. You had one, I mean, long-term real relationships. You had one 20-year marriage and one 6-year relationship with it being almost a 3-year marriage or 7-year. And that's it. That's your only experience. And you went, and they were kind of extremes. It went from you were 24. Who the fuck knows who they are at 24? Nobody.
Mm-mm.
Okay, nobody. Sorry if you're 24 and you're listening to this, you don't know who you are. Does that mean you don't? Of course, you know parts of who you are. Like when I was 24, I knew things about myself. I knew very strong things about myself. But I mean, I've learned along the way more and more and more. Even to now, I'm still learning about myself. I mean, the imago therapy exercise I told you guys about that we're going to do at the workshop in September was a huge eye opener for me about why I chose my husband and what I wanted to heal. And even more importantly, what I did when I didn't get my needs met, which showed me the tactic that never worked on him and it was never going to work. And I very quickly changed the behavior overnight because I saw it so crystal clear. And now, of course, that behavior is one of the best parts of my relationship with Doug because we have similarities in that way, and he receives it and he's open to it and he takes it and he wants it, and it's really new and interesting and scary, and I'm impressed with how much I've seen you grow with your own family and with like I said, all those things that if I look back at your life in on the East Coast, and you were barely sleeping 6 hours and you had back pain and you had anxiety, and now you sleep like a rock and can lay in bed all day. You don't make the bed every day like you used to. You can leave dishes in the sink like you didn't do that before. Like the OCD came down a lot, and there's no more back pain, and you're relaxed. I mean, even since you've moved in, it's almost 2 months. It's going to be 2 months next week. And there's been a huge change in the 2 months you've been here in like your energy. And so, that's super cool and exciting.
I have 2 words to say about that. Flip-flops.
Right. Welcome to California. Flip-flops are the key. But it's so fun for me because that's exciting. It's exciting. It's a turn on. It's very pleasing. It's validating. It's growth. I mean, let's look at life. And so when talking about like what the role that families play in relationships, from the ones you're leaving to the ones you're coming to the situations that are just so varying degrees of dysfunction and drama and acceptance and patience, I think that I mean, gosh, there's just so many variations, right? Like, I mean, I even in coming into your family situation, that's definitely brand new for me.
Well, we talked about what's interesting about it is we talked about that shroud of stress that you kind of enter into. Like you're in it and I think we were talking about this as we were driving back in DC just yesterday or the day before, is the whole idea that you are so immersed in the environment that you're in. I mean, you are so into that environment that you don't even see it. It's not until you can leave that environment, a drastic move like a move to the West Coast. Whenever I go back now, that and I hate to say it because I do still love everybody that's there, but I enter all the shit. I enter the tension. They don't even see it because they're so immersed in it, and it's like I'm like it's like a jacket that is put on me on a hot August humid day, and I'm like, I got to get the jacket off, and it holds you down. You just feel it. It's the emotional manipulation. It's the pressure that they put on you to be to make decisions based upon their needs. There's so many things. Now, some people might call that, well, it's just a part of the family. And I'm like, no, that is deeply affecting it's deeply affecting my health. I can feel it.
Well, as we talked about, you've never left. I mean, you left for a little while, years and years and years ago. But, so let's talk about it in law of attraction terms and frequency. I believe and know and trust that you can, in any situation, change your frequency and experience something different in the same situation. However, when you can remove yourself completely from it, because frequency wise, like you said something like, has this always been this way? Or what, and I said, I think it's always been this way for you. You just didn't notice it because it wasn't directed at you. And when you can remove yourself completely to experience something totally different in a totally different frequency where it's easy for you to get your balance in a new way, then you can see it more clearly. And from that position of freedom, you can start to get the skills to go back into that environment in a new and different way. But when it's all you know and it's all you see, and everyone is sort of in the same zone or same, let's say, worry or anxiety or shaming, blaming, guilt tripping, and that's what everybody does, it's really hard to stand out and try to muscle your way to be different or experience something different when you're so bombarded by it and you haven't yet developed the muscles and the skills to be able to do it more easily.
So everybody, grab your flip flops, make your way out west, and enjoy yourself. No, I don't. That doesn't mean to say that you need to drop everything that is known and good, and even the stuff that is bad in your life. It's not going to happen. I mean, I was someone that had to make a more bold decision because I needed there to be an obvious line in the sand for me to follow, not just in my decisions, but I needed to know the challenges that I had, and the best way for me to look at that was from a distance. And so I took that as my opportunity to make this bold move. And as we sat and had breakfast the other day, and was chatting with a good friend of mine, and I did say maybe everything fell together perfectly. I really do believe that everything happens for a reason, and I do believe that if the pieces didn't fall where they did, it would have made um, this my bold decisions more challenging to make. And I really feel like um, it was perfectly aligned. What if this breakup was meant to be? What if the relationship with you was meant to be to help me find and figure out who I am? What if this move to California was meant to be and helping me make that? What if this sick relative in my family, my relatives that are screaming for me to I need to be back to help them? What if all of that wasn't so extreme? I needed all that to happen in my life in order for me to really it's like somebody had to slap me in the face and say, "Let me make this more obvious for you. You have to make a change or something drastically bad could potentially happen to you." So if you don't make this change now, if as obvious as it is, if you don't make it now, you're never going to make it. Make it now. And so I use this as an opportunity to make a change, a bold change.
And you did. And I'm glad you did. And it's a very, this whole thing as it unfolds, and for those of you that have gone through this before, I'm sure none of this is new for you. Our story is different and new and has its twists and turns, but you've potentially experienced this and others. How everyone is in relationship is different, and how everyone deals with things is different. And while I'd like to say there's no right and wrong way, and there really isn't, there's a right and wrong way for you and the stage that you're in and the lessons that you need to learn. I think that what remains true is that there needs to be boundaries set for you and awarenesses of the amount of external forces that can change your relationships, or the relationships that play a role in your decision making, like we talked about in your first marriage. And I remember this back in high school, that I remember one of the biggest pains I had about a certain breakup was I was losing his family. And I really haven't. I've had that one other time with an ex-boyfriend here in California, that the breakup. But I knew that at the time that the breakup didn't mean I'd lose the family, because I knew I'd get the family regardless, because I had seen it within their family that people left and came back and they took care of everybody. Everybody was still a part of the family, so I trusted that I'd still have them as a family. But it's just so fascinating to continue to walk into new situations, and this whole shifting and changing is well, it's got, I'm not going to shortchange it. While you and I, on one end, when we're focused on each other and we're here and we're happy and we're really happy and we're really good and everything is awesome and amazing, that doesn't mean that we still don't have a ton of pain and sadness and fear and boundary setting and new, forging new ways with new people and trying to go back and save or patch up or wonder if you're going to have relationships with the people who you potentially have left or they've left you. So as it still unfolds, because I know for both of us more is coming. I've had some people reach out to me, which I of course appreciate immensely, and I know there are people that won't care and will be happy that I'm out of his life, and that's okay. I totally expected that, but after 12 years, there are a handful that I'd like to keep around that And if it doesn't happen, I will feel the pain and sadness of that and hope for better relations in the future. And in the meantime, I'm going to focus forward on you and what we can do together, and just hope that people see the benefit in that and want to get on board with that. And if they're not, it's not going to change. It's not going to change what I'm doing, but it would be nice to have their support.
In the meantime, meditation on the beach, exercise, walks, just enjoying each other's company, and trying to put yourself in a position where you understand that sometimes things happen in the perfect timing. And I do feel like this has happened in the perfect timing. So some of those relationships I'm going to miss. Some of them are going to get stronger. Some of them are going to, it's amazing. I think even in the short period of time since that line has been drawn in the sand, I think some of those relationships will have a different, deeper level of respect for me because I've done what I've done. Some are going to go completely the other way, and they're going to think I'm a delusional disappointment. But in either case, it's okay.
How do you feel about you?
And I feel good about me, and I think that that's the important thing.
It is. It is. So remember, no matter what you're going through in your relationship, that there are influences of your family members, your friends, and just try to, get to the place where you can at least know your own feelings and the difference between what is how you feel versus what someone else is telling you should feel. And is the fear of leaving a relationship really about the relationship, or is it really about the family? And all those layers of relationship that are complicated yet beautiful and all meaningful and for our best expansion and growth. So as we continue on this journey, again, we've got lots of stuff to talk about and share with you. And I definitely want you to connect in some way, shape, or form. So reach out on Women, Men, and Relationships, either through Instagram, through my Facebook page. Let me know if you want me to start a group for this now that Doug is here and we're doing just this show for just this channel. I would love to know what you're going through and help and support you in any way. So remember that there is an event coming up where we're going to be doing relationship work, and I really would love to facilitate a breakthrough for you when it comes to things you need to do to strengthen your own self-love as well as clarity on your relationship. So make sure to check out The Next Big Step, September 20th through the 23rd in Los Angeles. And don't forget, you can buy a virtual ticket, which means it's a course that you can do at home, like a home study course once it's over, but that price will come down. You cannot buy it once the event starts. So if you're interested in the event, but you can't make it to the event, you absolutely can get it on video and go through it on your own time in your own space. So thank you again for listening, and we'll see you back here next week.
Let's do it next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. And I just want to remind you, we have very limited spots left for The Next Big Step. Come on over to jjflizanes.com/next big step to get your live ticket or your virtual ticket if you can't make it to LA, so you can get all the same information in the comfort of your own home. jjflizanes.com/next big step.